All right. So, inverse trig. Make sure you read your instructions, answers in radians, degrees, all angles from 0 to 360 that work. The first two use unit circle ideas. So you need to be drawing a unit circle. Now, a unit circle has a radius of 1. And there's 4 quadrantal angles that are represented really easy. If you have a radius of 1, this is 1, 0. This would be 0, 1. This would be negative 1, 0. And this right down here is 0, negative 1. Now, if you're using the circular approach to trigonometry, you know that the cosine of an angle is x over r. So I'm interested in x values. Now, since we're on the unit circle, the cosine of an angle is x over 1, which is just x. So I'm interested in x values. And the x value here is that x is 0. That happens here, and that happens here. You think about your rotation here, that's 90 degrees, and this would be 270. So one of your answers is 90 degrees, and the other answer is 270 degrees. Now 90 degrees is a pi rad, is pi over 2, and 270 as a pi rad is 3 pi over 2. So there you go. Now your calculator can only tell you one of them. If you go to your TI-84 and you type arc cosine of 0, it just tells you one answer. Like, you cannot trust this thing. On a full circle, there's always 2 answers. I hate that for y'all, but that's how it is. What else I got highlighted? Number 8, the arc tangent of negative root 3 over 3. This is not a circular concept. This is all schools torture children. This ratio is negative. Now, by all schools torture children, the tangent ratio is negative here and here. So I'm going to draw a triangle in quadrant 2 and in quadrant 4. And I know that tangent is opposite over adjacent. So opposite of this thing is not a negative root 3 here because of direction, it's a positive root 3. And adjacent is the negative root 3, is the negative 3. Now, it's very tempting to see root 3 and think 60 degrees. But it's not, because this is bigger. In 30, 60, 90 theorem, root 3 usually shows up. The one I usually teach is 1 root 3, 2. But you'll notice that 1 is opposite of 30-degree angle. Now, I know this is a 30, 60, 90 because if I take a root of 3 and I multiply it by a root of 3, I get 3. This is actually the small angle. It's 30 degrees. Over here, the same pattern is set up, opposite over adjacent. Here, it's negative root 3, adjacent is 3, still a 30-degree angle. So what are your 2 angles? Well, here's one of them, 180 minus 30. That's 150 degrees. So one of my angles is 150. 150 degrees as a pi rad would be 5 pi over 6. There's one of them. The second one is going to be 360 minus 30, because you almost went full circle, 330 degrees, which as a pi rad is 11 pi over 6. So there's your other answers. All these things have 2 answers. Let's see, instruction set down here says use a calculator to evaluate the expression in degrees. Remember, your calculator only tells you one answer, draw to find the other. And it just says in degrees. So let's see what the arc sine of negative 0.2 is. It's not going to be a pretty number. It's negative 11.54 degrees. Now, you draw to find the other one. So you also use all schools torture children. I'll probably teach you a more explicit one in class, but I'm not going to record that one. I don't even like that. I should change the instruction set because it's a negative angle. I don't like it. But by all schools tortured children, and this ratio is negative, I can be here or here. If I'm here, I still have a reference angle of 11.54 degrees. So this angle is 180 plus 11.54 degrees, which is 191.54 degrees. That's one of them. We'll call that theta 1. The other angle, and I don't like the fact that it's negative, so I'll change the instruction set to say all positive, is almost a full circle. Theta 2 is 360 minus 11.54 degrees. This is usually when kids hate trig. When you have to use that God-given brain of yours, when kids hate trig. So there's your two answers. 191.54 and 348.46. And I need to change the instruction set so that says that the answer lies between 0 and 360. That was 10. What else have I got highlighted back here? I've got 15 highlighted, which is a find the inverse. I should probably do one of these up top too. I'll do 12. Solve for theta such that theta lies on the given interval. And notice that these are radians. So the calculator in radian mode. All right. Theta would be the arc cosine of negative 0.82. Actually, we'll convert to radians later on. I'm going to leave it in degree mode because you have no idea how to graph radians. Is about 145.08 degrees. Now, if you're going to be between pi and 3 pi over 2, you're going to have answers between 180 and 270 degrees. This isn't it. This ratio is negative. I can either be in one of these two quadrants. Now, if I think about drawing just this angle, I can find a reference angle. This is 180 minus 145.08, which is what, 34.92 degrees. So I'm going to draw the 34.92 degree angle here, and then I'm going to add 180. So 180 plus 34.92 degrees, if I'm thinking right, is going to be 214.92 degrees. Now the issue is we have to be in a pi rad, so I'm going to multiply it by pi over 180. 214.92 times pi over 180, and I get this ugly fugly radian answer. It's about 3.75 rads. 15 is a write the inverse function. First, I'm going to swap x and y. And then I'm going to resolve for y. So I'm going to take away 3. I'm going to divide that negative 3 out. I'm going to counteract tangent with arctangent. And these guys are going to knock each other out of the park. Then I'm going to counteract the subtraction through addition. And then I'm going to divide by 2. And now I get to rewrite as the inverse. So that's fun stuff. The last thing I'm going to do is 19. If a sub n minus 1 refers to a previous term and a sub 1 refers to the first term, write a recursive rule for the following sequence and find the first term. When you write a rule, you always have to mention the first term. You have to define a sub 1. So a sub 1 here is 4. It's the first term. Sometimes we also use a sub 0. The rule here is triple and add 2. I think if I do 3 times 4 and add 2, I get 14. And does that hold? 3 times 14, add 2. 3 times 14 is 42. You add 2. Yeah, that's the rule. So the rule is triple and add 2. So the next term, a sub n, would be the previous term, which we call a sub n minus 1. We'd multiply it by 3 and we'd add 2. And there you go. There's your rule. We're supposed to find the fifth term. Well, I have 1, 2, and 3. The fourth term would be 3 44s, add 2. 3 44s is 120, 132, 140, 134 when everything's said and done. And the fifth term, which we're asked for, is going to be 334s added 2. So that's getting on up there. Let's see, that's 390, 402, 404 when everything is said and done. Have fun on this assignment. Inverse trig really throws a lot of kids off. It does. It is what it is. I like it. That's me.